Hey guys, sorry, we just had to switch the Facebook Live over to Instagram because our feed, there was something wrong with the feed, but I'm glad that you're joining me here. So what I'm going to do is get to all of your questions that you sent in, and if you have any further questions, I'm going to be reading them. Let me introduce myself first off. I'm Dr. Lauren Hazuri. I'm a psychologist, and I work a lot with Girls Talk. I've met a lot of you at the events in London and Berlin, and looking forward to meeting you at other ones. When you send your questions into the website, girlstalk.com, I am the person who answers your questions. So I already intimately know many of you, and I'm super excited to be here to answer the questions that you have for me today. Hello. People are saying hi to me. Hi. So first off, I want to start off with the first question that we had sent in to us for today. And that one was regarding, this person had a family member who's been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and just asked for different supports and wanted to know what this person can do to possibly help her loved one. And so I wanted to start off by talking a little bit about bipolar disorder because I think that knowledge is always power, not only for ourselves, but when we're trying to help our friends and family too. First of all, bipolar disorder is one of the many mood disorders, and the interesting thing about bipolar disorder is that there's two different types. The first one has both major depressive elements to it, which means that we get in super depressed and down moods, and we also have a lot of elation and rammy moods, more like a manic episode. Bipolar 2 has a lot that contributes with both of those different things, both a decrease in mood and a super increase in mood, but the increase in mood doesn't feel happy, it feels really rammy. And so what can you do? Well, for any mood dysregulation, and I can tell you this not only from the experiences that I have with many girls and women, but also with my own experience, when we have mood dysregulation, that means that sometimes we're just in a total funk and we feel like shit, and we can't really, we want to do things, but we can't really get ourselves to do them. And then other times we feel like we can kind of take on the world and we feel really rammy, but the rammy doesn't really feel good. It feels like an internal motor that just won't quit. It feels like, so it's really hard to focus and hard to get the things that we need to accomplish done because we just can't really sit still. And so what I learned from my own experience is that to get the mood more regulated so that it's more even, so we don't have the roller coaster, the low lows and the high highs, is that I had to put myself on a really strict lifestyle pattern. And it sounds super boring, but what I learned is that, yeah, it kind of sucks to have to do it on a daily basis, but I can get through my day and meet the goals that I need to meet in that day and then long term too. So what do the lifestyle changes look like? Okay, so here's the deal. Let me get comfortable here. All right, so the first thing that you need to do is get yourself on a sleep schedule. Get your circadian rhythm working for you rather than against you. A lot of times we stay up super late or we sleep in, especially if our mood is not regulated. If we're feeling down and out, we either sleep too much or sleep too little. When we're in an increased mood, in a manic episode, it's super hard to sleep. So what I learned is that putting myself on a really strict sleep schedule. Literally, I started going to bed at 10:30 p.m. and getting up at 6:30 a.m. every single day, whether I wanted to or not. So a lot of times it was hard to fall asleep. A lot of times it was hard to get up. But I knew that I needed to do this in order to try to regulate my mood. Eating. Sometimes we eat too much, sometimes we eat too little, especially when we're not feeling so great. The key is to eat 3 meals, 2 snacks. Our bodies, we need to get them working for us like a well-oiled machine. And so 3 meals, including all the food groups, you need to fuel your body with things that are going to fuel your brain because this is all a brain game. Remember that. So we need to sleep, we need to eat, and then the last one, which is probably, I think, the most important, but they all kind of work together, exercise. And when we're not feeling great, especially when we're feeling depressed, it's really hard to get ourselves to exercise. I totally know. Been there, done that. But really, it makes all the difference in the world. A half hour of cardio exercise, especially running, is shown to increase the serotonin levels in your brain. Serotonin is the neurotransmitter that makes us feel good. So a half-hour run is shown to give you the same increase in that neurotransmitter that makes us feel good as a low dose of Prozac or Zoloft or one of the SSRIs. And so what you need to do if you're having really a lot of difficulty with mood dysregulation, or if you have a family member or a friend who's having trouble with mood dysregulation, like bipolar disorder, then we need to put ourselves on a lifestyle pattern that's going to regulate that mood for us, get us more even Steven, right? So we don't want the low lows and the high highs. We want it to go a little bit more like this. And so if we want to model that for a family member or a friend, awesome, we benefit too. And if we're the ones suffering with mood dysregulation, then that's where we always want to start. The second thing that if it's you want to do is you want to use some of the cognitive behavioral skill sets. So what the hell are they? Well, cognitive behavioral therapy is proven to work. So let me give you some psychoeducation on that whole topic. Cognitive behavioral therapy tells us that thoughts lead to feelings and feelings lead to action. So if we want to change what we're doing, like start doing something that we're not doing or stop doing something that we don't want to do and makes us feel badly about ourselves, then we need to check our feelings. When we check our feelings, we think, okay, so what are we feeling now? Well, I'm feeling depressed, I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling rammy, I'm feeling grandiose, I'm feeling all of these different things. Well, then we need to go to our thoughts. Check your thoughts, because thoughts always lead to feelings. We never just feel something first. It's never like, whoa, I'm sad. It's like, okay, what am I thinking that's making me sad? Okay, nobody likes me. I am stupid, I'm ugly, whatever the thoughts are that are creating the poor mood, right? So we look at those thoughts. Cognitive behavioral therapy, the whole deal is that if you want to change the way you feel, then you got to change the way you think. To change the way you think, you really have to be able to look at what your thought process looks like. Thoughts only have value if you give them value. So, we have up to 70,000 thoughts a day. And those of us who are depressed or anxious or sad or feeling alone, we focus on the really negative ones. So there's usually about 3 thoughts that keep on circulating. I call them stickler thoughts. They're the ones that just won't quit. For me, when I was feeling down and out, they were like, I am stupid, I am ugly, and I'm overrated. Those were my 3 negative thoughts that really kept me in bed a lot of the time. And so I would look at those and I'd say, okay, let me collect the data around those. So like, I am stupid. Like, what data do I have to support that? And when any of us look at any of our negative thoughts, we get a lot of our information from society, and a lot of them just aren't true, right? So society tells us, girls and women, to be A, B, C, and D. Typically, they are thin and attractive, accommodating, to morph to the system, smart but not too smart, and successful until we threaten that system. And we get those messages from the time that we're born, and they really influence how we think, feel, and behave. So if you look at your thoughts and you think, okay, so I am ugly, like, what does that even mean? Where do we even get that information? And when you start to break them apart, you can say, like, well, wait a second. Like, this might be complete bullshit. I think society has been telling me like a whole bunch of nonsense, and these social norms are really affecting how I'm thinking and feeling. And you start to look at them and you think, oh, wait a second, like maybe I was born with everything that I need to get through this life in a healthy and happy way, and maybe this is all just bullshit and I'm actually like okay. And when you start seeing society clearly, you start to see yourself clearly. And when you see yourself clearly, you recognize that you came with everything that you need to get through this life, and you're not here to look for a purpose, you are your purpose. And so when you start to see those things clearly, you start to feel a little bit better, and you start to adjust what you're doing on a daily basis. So for mood regulation, lifestyle patterns is always number 1. Eat, sleep, exercise, get your body working for you rather than against you. Then go to the cognitive behavioral skill sets. If you want to change the way you feel, you got to change the way you think. When you're looking at those thoughts, you need to see, okay, so what did I do? Where did I get this information? Most of the time we get it from society, and we've internalized a whole ton of bullshit. And so when you look at these thoughts and you think, well, wait a second, this just means that I've been really a good listener. There's nothing actually wrong with me. I've been listening to what society has to tell me. I've internalized this stuff, and I've started to feel really bad about myself. Now I need to look at these thoughts and say, like, wait a second. Society is where we are, not who we are. And so if I look at these and I think, all right, well, wait, I am ugly. Like, what does that even mean? Based on what? Like, I am stupid. Like, oh, really? Because what I know is that every single one of us came here with a purpose. And we have every single thing that we need to meet that purpose. And if we stop handing over our power to the social system and really buying into all of the things that we've been taught from the day that we're born, and we choose to stand in our power together, then we really have a chance at changing what the social norms look like. Because we girls and women make up 51% of the population. 51% of the population. Yet, we continue to listen to social norms based on the 49% of the population. We're listening that the most important things for us to be are thin and attractive, accommodating, right? Smart but not too smart, successful until we threaten the social system. We're taught that our value comes from relationship. But if we choose to stand in our power, each one of us, for all of us, then we can become the norm and we don't have to listen to this shit anymore. So when you're feeling down and out, when it's really hard for you to get out of bed, when you don't feel like incorporating these lifestyle changes into your daily patterns, if you don't feel like doing it for you, do it for me. If you don't want to do it for me, do it for Adjoa, and do it for your best friend, and do it for your mom, and do it for your daughter. You know, like, we need to do this for each other, because we've been taught, you know, society's been pathologizing women since the beginning of time, and we've been taught all of these things, but we need to recognize that, yes, we need to manage our mood, absolutely, but we are not our symptoms. We are much bigger than this place. And so it's important for us, not only so that we feel better, but so that we can all be all that we are, that we manage these symptoms. 1, lifestyle patterns, eat, sleep, exercise. 2, CBT, manage your thoughts. Okay, now I think we can go on to the next question. I get a little fired up. Okay, so next question is this. Okay, this is an important one. Oh, somebody said, hell yeah. Yeah. Okay, so here's the deal. The next one is about, you know, being new on campus in a new space. How do I force myself to do things so that I can become involved without feeling anxious and homesick? Oh my God. Okay, so this person is asking the question, you know, she's in college, but I think we can all generalize this to our own experience, right? So we've all been in new places and we feel like a fish out of water. We feel like we don't belong and we get super anxious and we don't know how to integrate and we just want to go home. I know that I had this experience when I went to college. I literally counted down the days until it was time to go home because I just wanted to get comfortable. I was always super, super uncomfortable. And I always looked for some geographical cure or some behavioral pattern that was going to make me feel better. I always wanted to feel better right now, right? This is what I've recognized. I've recognized that we girls and women, we human beings, need to get comfortable being uncomfortable. There's a lot of discomfort that comes with being a human being. And if we're going to really focus on becoming all that we are, we're going to have to be really super uncomfortable a lot of the time. I'm uncomfortable all the time. I'm uncomfortable right now. Right? Like, I was super nervous to do this. I just went on to do a Facebook Live, and I have no idea what went wrong, and I was preparing for it all day, and I totally screwed it up. And I was so nervous about it that I was, like, panicking and like, oh, my God. And then I was thinking, oh, my God, I have to answer these questions, and what if my answers aren't valuable? What if these people don't like me? I want them to like me. We all have these thoughts. Right? So it's not like all of a sudden, like, you outgrow being human. That doesn't happen. But you outgrow correlating that with your value as a human being. So me screwing up the Facebook Live today, that doesn't correlate with my value as a human being. You know, whether you like the answers to my question or not, that doesn't correlate with my value as a human being. I am pure value the same way that you are because I breathe. It's not because of my accomplishments. It's not because of anything that I say or anything that I do. It's not because you get 100 on an exam or you integrate really well on campus in your first semester. It has nothing to do with any of that stuff. We came value. Every single one of us was born with everything we need to get through this life in a healthy and happy way. And we don't have to earn our value. We came that way. And so what do you do if you're uncomfortable on campus or you're uncomfortable in a new situation, you get anxious, and how do you make yourself integrate? Well, I like to think of new experiences as opportunities. But believe me, I didn't learn this until like 8 minutes ago in the grand scheme of things. When I was younger, it was certainly hard for me to think of it this way. But, you know, if I knew then what I know now, this is what I would say. You need to really suck every single opportunity that you have dry. Don't look at it like, I hope they like me. Look at it like, what can I get out of this experience so that I can toss this in my repertoire so that I can move forward and I can be a better version of myself on the other side of this experience. I'm always interested to see, like, what am I going to be like on the other side of this one thing? And this one thing could be a party. This one thing could be an exam. This one thing could be a job interview. This thing could be my 25-minute run. It doesn't matter what this one thing is, but every single opportunity that you have completely changes you. And so the goal is not to run away from opportunities, it's to run towards them. Because the goal is to get to you. You're always running towards yourself. And the whole idea is it's not to become the best version of yourself. Like, I don't even know what that means. If I waited to become the best version of myself to try to meet my goals, I'd still be sitting on my couch and doing absolutely nothing. Likely with a bag of Cheetos. But yeah, so if you can't wait to become your best self in order to go and really try to meet you. And so after the party, you're going to have to walk through some discomfort. You're going to have to meet some new people, but the goal is like, let me see who I am on the other side of this. Let me see who I am on the other side of the run, of the job interview, of this phone call, of whatever, of this Instagram live. I want to know who I'm going to be on the other side of this, and I want to know who you're going to be too. And I think that that's the key, is like, you're always running towards you. And if you're running away from the party, if you're running away from the meeting, if you're running away from the new social group, you're actually running away from yourself. And that'd be a damn shame, because we have to remember that we're each here for a reason. And it's not to do all these crazy things. The whole reason is to just be yourself. And it takes a really long time to know what the hell that even means, but you have to take advantage of every opportunity so that you get there. So where do you start? Okay, here's the deal. When we get anxious, we have to recognize what's happening physiologically. So let's say you're on campus, or let's say you're in a new work environment. Let's say you move to a new town. And you want to take advantage of these opportunities because you really, oh, somebody's saying, what's her name? Yeah, my name is Dr. Lauren Hazuri. Hi. So what you want to do is you want to take advantage of these opportunities, but you're like, shit, I can't take advantage of these opportunities because I'm literally having panic attacks, and I'm sweating and I can't breathe. And if I walk into these new social situations in order to try to meet myself on the other side, I might pass out. Okay, so this is what you do. First of all, let's have a little chat about what's happening when you get anxious physiologically. Here's the deal. As human beings, we are wired for survival. So what that means is this. Way back when we were hunters and gatherers, and we had to hunt for our food and gather berries in order to survive, and we had to migrate to different places to find food, our bodies were wired for survival. So what that means is this. That means that if we were in the face of an enemy, our bodies would give us all of the resources that we needed in order to either fight off the enemy, like the big bear who was trying to get our berries, or run from the enemy, run from the bear, right? Well, now what happens is that because we're wired for survival like that, when we go into a social situation and our thoughts are telling us oh my God, nobody here likes you, you're here alone, you look like a total loser, nobody wants to hang out with you. What your body hears is danger, danger, danger. Here's the key. Your body and your mind doesn't know the difference between real and imagined danger. So your body is responding the same way it would if you were hunting for berries and trying to gather food for your family and a bear was coming after you. So your fight or flight system kicks into high gear. Here's the difference. If you were running from an enemy, you would utilize all the physiological resources that your body is providing for you. So what happens if we need to fight or flee? Well, our body temperature needs to decrease, right? So we start to sweat a little bit. Our breathing changes so that we can run like the wind. We all of a sudden, we start to get an increase in adrenaline so that we can really fight or we can really run. Well, when we're utilizing these resources, when we're really in danger, we don't even recognize these physiological changes because we're using them all up, right? But if we're walking into a party and our thoughts are telling us, nobody likes you, whatever, and you're interpreting that as danger, it feels really uncomfortable because you're literally sitting at a party or you're walking into a party and all of a sudden all these physiological changes are happening and you're not using them. You're not running or fighting, you're sitting. And so when your breathing starts to change and you start to sweat and your adrenaline starts to increase and you're sitting at a party, it feels more like, oh my God, what's happening to me, right? And you don't know what's going on, and then you start to freak yourself out. And so you're going like, oh my God, something's wrong. Oh my God, I might pass out. Oh my God. And you start doing that, and what's happening is you're perpetuating it then. What's happened is your nervous system has kicked in so that you could fight or flee. You're not utilizing those physiological resources, so you're the only way for you to do something about that is to stop your nervous system immediately. The way that you stop your nervous system from increasing is this: deep breathing. Your body cannot be anxious and relaxed at the same time. Deep breathing can really help you to relax your body physiologically. How do you do it? You breathe in through your nose, 3 counts. You hold for 3 counts, and then you exhale for 3 counts. Do it 3 times. You'll see what I mean. The next thing that you need to do in order to stop your nervous system in its tracks is you need to do some deep muscle relaxation. What does that look like? Well, your body, remember, can't be anxious and relaxed at the same time. So you're going to go in there and you're going to say, okay, body, you want the nervous system to kick in? Well, I'm going to stop that dead in its tracks. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to relax my body, because I know now that I cannot be relaxed and anxious at the same time. So you want to start with the top of your head, and you're going to work all the way to the tips of your toes. Here's what you do. You start with your facial muscles. You go to your arms, the top of your arms, your biceps, your forearms, then your hands, your belly, your butt, your thighs, your calves, your feet. And you scrunch them. You hold every single muscle group for 10 seconds as tightly as you possibly can, and then you shake it out. So the way that would look for my forearm is like I have to fist my hand in order to make my forearm as tight as it can be, and I hold that for 10 seconds, and then I shake it out. Remember, you start with the top of your head, you go to the tips of your toes. You really clench every single muscle group, hold it for 10 seconds, shake it out. What I like to do is go from the top of my head, tips of my toes, and then work all the way back up. Tips of my toes to the top of my head, and then do my whole body together. When you're done with that, instead of being anxious, you're going to feel like taking a nap. So this is what I like to do. If I'm going to walk into a situation where I might feel a little bit nervous, or I might feel out of place, I might feel like a fish out of water, and I'm going to make myself go anyway because I want to meet myself on the other side of that opportunity, I do the deep breathing and the deep muscle relaxation before I head into the place. If I'm feeling anxious when I'm in there, I might excuse myself and go to the bathroom so that I can do it in there. Your body, remember, cannot be relaxed and anxious at the same time. You can control these different symptoms with just a little bit of knowledge like this. These evidence-based skill sets can really, really help. And that's why knowledge is always power. Psychoeducation is always helpful. And also just recognizing that like you're not alone, like we all go through this shit all the time. So that's my suggestion for that question. Okay, next. Let's see here. I feel it is so hard finding new friends in a new city, and I feel everyone I meet, we just don't click. Any advice? Let's see. In a new city, I feel like I just don't click with anyone. Any advice? This is what I like to do. So, you know, it's taken me a really long time. There are many, I think a lot of times we want to be liked. And as human beings, we all want to be liked, right? We're spiritual beings having a human experience, not vice versa. So what does that mean? That means that we're all connected, and connection is necessary for us to feel good. And so we need to connect. And so when we are, you know, in a new situation and we're feeling like, damn, like I'm not clicking, like is there something wrong with me? No, nothing's wrong with you. What I would suggest is, why don't you try learning about other people, right? So instead, let's just toss aside the idea of wanting to be liked, and let's try to like instead. So what I often do when I meet new people is I try to learn as much as I possibly can learn about them, right? So I ask a lot of questions. I want to know exactly what brings them to the situation, what their life experiences look like. What are they interested in? I'm not necessarily even looking for common denominators at the beginning. Like, I just look at it like one of those experiences where I want to know who I'm going to be on the other side. What can I learn from this person to make me better? What can their experiences tell me about my own? And so really diving into someone else and not really worrying about what the hell they think of you, right? So look at yourself as being like somebody who can make somebody else feel connected, who can make somebody else feel important, who can make somebody else feel appreciated. What I've learned is that appreciation is love, right? So being attentive to somebody else, paying attention to the ins and outs of who they are and what makes them tick, oftentimes makes them feel their value. And if I can make somebody else feel their value, then I can feel my own. And so, if you're in a new city or you're in your old city, wherever you are, whenever you meet somebody new or you're trying to integrate and find new meaningful connection, instead of looking for a connection to come to you, you be that connection. And you ask about somebody else and you attend to their needs and you try to figure out who they are. Because then you're going to make them feel their value. And let me tell you something, that is your value, right? So I think if you want to click in a new place, I think you just have to click it. Okay, next. Let's see. God, I talk a lot, right? I have so much to say. Let's see. Okay. Oh, this is a fun one. Okay, ready? It's about relationships. Let's see. What should I be careful or look out for in my first relationship? How can I use this experience as a great model and good launching point for the rest of my relationship experiences? Wow, that's heavy. Okay, so in first relationship, what can we possibly learn from our first relationship? Well, I think first of all, that's a lot of pressure, right, to put on a new relationship. But I'm going to tell you something about attachment, right? So relationships are super fun and absolutely important, and they're mirrors to self is really what a relationship is. An intimate relationship, a friendship, all of the above are simply mirrors to ourselves. And so when we connect with another person in a meaningful way, we really learn a lot about ourselves. And so if you're in a new relationship, I think the whole idea is to try to really assess your attachment style. All right, so let me give you a little bit of background on what attachment style means, because it's a super important point, not only for relationships, but basically for everything in life. And so let's talk a little bit about attachment style, because I think I want you in your first relationship to figure out what yours might be. So attachment, it's the way we attach to other human beings. And we all have, my name is Dr. Lauren Hazori. Somebody just asked my name. Hi, I'm Dr. Lauren. Okay, so we each have an attachment style. It's how we connect with other human beings. And it's really important to assess in your first relationship and then in all the relationships that you have from that point forward what your attachment style might look like. Every human being has an attachment style, and we typically have our attachment style pretty much set by about age 6. The first relationship that we have is the one with our early childhood caregiver. So many times that's our mother, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. It's the person who meets our needs when we're in infancy. And dependent on how those needs are met is the attachment style that then we have. Got it? So, somebody's meeting our needs. That is eating, changing our diapers, like looking at us when we coo, making eye contact with us, connecting with us. So when each one of us has an early childhood caregiver who becomes our attachment figure. Most of the time that's our mom, but it can be anybody. Okay, so you got that piece. There are several different types of attachment styles depending on how those needs were met. There's secure attachment style that makes up about 54% of the population. That's 54% of us. And then there's the other ones of us who have an insecure attachment style. I definitely had an insecure attachment style, okay? The insecure attachment style comes in two different types. There's the anxious ambivalent attachment style. That's the needy, clingy kid that doesn't want to go to school and is hanging on to mom's leg. And there's the avoidant attachment style. And those people look like they're really secure because they're kind of roaming about the universe, but they're not. The reason they're roaming about is because they don't trust anybody and they don't want to let anybody too close because they want to manage their own abandonment. Here's the deal. In your intimate relationships, in adulthood, we mimic those attachment styles from early childhood. And so you'll notice that if you're the clingy person or if you're in a relationship with the clingy person, they have an anxious ambivalent attachment style. And what that means is they're like, baby, I love you. You love me? Baby, I texted you. You didn't text me back. You love me? Baby, everything all right? You know, it's that person. And then the avoidant is the person who pulls somebody in and gives them a big shove out because they're managing their own abandonment because they're afraid of letting anybody too close because they think that that person might leave them. They don't trust other people. And so if they really like somebody, instead of pulling them in and saying, baby, I love you, you love me, like the anxious ambivalent person, they give them a big shove out and they don't respond to the text or they don't snap back. That's the person. And then you're like, hey, what's up with you? Like what's going on? You didn't respond. They're like, oh, I don't know, not a problem at all. You're like, all right, whatever, that's weird. So what I want you to do in your first attachment style or in your first relationship is really recognize what attachment style you have. If you're secure, that means that, you know, you can kind of come and go as you please, and you know that the person with whom you're in the relationship will be there when you get back, and you can go away for a week and maybe text them a couple times and be completely fine with that. Those of us with the other attachment styles, with the insecure type, that would totally freak us out. And so if we go away, we're like, oh my God, like what is he or she going to be doing? Wait, I just tech just reached out to them and they didn't respond back. Like maybe they're totally over me already. So maybe I need to fly home. That's the anxious person. The avoidant person is like, you know what, I'm going away, so I'm not even going to reach out. Gives a big shove when feels threatened at all. And so in your first relationship, figure out what your attachment style is. Your attachment style can be changed if you're really aware of it and if you work for it. But because we can really only have super healthy relationships if we are healthy and we have them with healthy others. Okay, so that would be that suggestion. Okay, let's see. Next question. Okay. Here's one. Okay, so I have, Sue just said, ha, 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 this is amazing. Well, thanks. Okay, let's see. Okay, this person has a question. I have a really tough time with transitions, like new cities, new jobs, new school. Can you explain why I have a hard time with others? Let's see, how can I, okay, so what can I do to make this transition easier? Okay, so this is what I do. So I'm just talking to you like Lauren, not necessarily like Dr. Lauren. Although I can't really separate the two out sometimes at this point. Okay, so here's the deal. If you're in a new place and you're feeling super uncomfortable, what I've learned to do is this. I kind of, at the beginning, keep my old routine. So it doesn't matter if I'm in here or Wisconsin or the UK or Germany. I still keep the same schedule for the first few days or weeks that I'm there so that there's something that kind of anchors me and grounds me. You know, people who travel a lot or people who move around a lot oftentimes need to keep those things the same because everything else is changing. And so rituals, for all of us as human beings, rituals are super important. Daily rituals, monthly rituals, annual rituals. We all know annual rituals. We all do something on a specific holiday. Like my daughter and I do the same thing every Christmas Eve. Weekly rituals. We have pizza every Friday night. Daily rituals. We lay in bed and read a book at the same time every single weeknight. So there are certain anchors that we need as human beings in order to make ourselves feel okay and feel like all is right in the world. But then it doesn't necessarily matter whether it doesn't necessarily matter whether, sorry, I'm getting distracted by your comments. It doesn't necessarily matter whether we have a geographical change, because we have those same very anchors in our day that we do when we're home. And so my suggestion is that if you're having difficulty transitioning into a new city, 2 things. Number 1, create rituals for yourself, the same ones that you did in your former place. And number 2, what I want you to do is really explore that new city. Really think of what I said to the question before of really tackling new opportunities to see who you're going to be on the other side. You know, you're never stuck. Stuck is a frame of mind. So if you're not liking the place, you want to get the hell out of there, well, at some point you might want to leave. But right now, you're going to suck that city for everything that it has. You're going to suck it dry. And you're going to take every single opportunity that you possibly can so you can see who you're going to be on the other side of this. So the answer to that question, twofold. Number 1, rituals, make it happen. And number 2, run to each opportunity so that you can see who you're going to be on the other side of this. Okay, let's see. Okay, I answered that one. Okay, this one. Super important. Thanks. All right, this one is super important. Ready? Overall, I'm really happy and bubbly. Oh, okay. But sometimes I feel down and sad for no reason at all. What's going on? Okay. Happy and bubbly. Happy and bubbly. All right, so let's see here. Mood dysregulation. As human beings, our mood shifts, right? Like, so we're not always, like, it's not like we have one note, right? Like, so I like to think of us as being like think of music, right? Like, so think of a musical score. Imagine that it was only one note, and it was just like, ah, right? Like, super happy and bubbly all the time. How boring would that be? Like, that would be terrible. And so I don't necessarily think that we need to look at things as being good or bad, right? So happy and bubbly versus down and out. I don't necessarily think that either need to not be welcome. Like, they're just moods. So it's like we don't need to be afraid of them or try to like think like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? No, you're human. And our moods kind of change, right? And so some days I might feel like awesome and like I could take on the world, and other days I'm like, shit, why would I even want to, right? So I think that instead of wondering what's wrong with you, just like really recognizing that you're human, and that's just kind of like part of the program here. Like, we're not crazy, we're human, and recognizing that we're not the problem, we're the solution. But the only way to become the solution and really stand in our power and recognize that as girls and women is to like stop pathologizing ourselves. Like, this is funny. So I have a daughter, and she is 14 years old. And, you know, I'm like always like on the soapbox of like, we can't pathologize ourselves, and we're not crazy, we're human, we're not the problem, we're the solution, society is where we are, not who we are, and all this stuff. And I follow her on Instagram, and she posted this picture of herself, and she put as the caption, let's see, she put cute but psycho. And I freaked out. I called her. I was like, oh my God, like, what are you doing? Like, why are you pathologizing yourself? She's like, Mom, like, I just Googled like cute Instagram phrases, and that's what came up. But I think as girls and women, that's what we do, right? Like, we are taught that like it's kind of cute, and kind of like we're socialized to say things like, oh my God, I'm so crazy, or oh my God, what's wrong with me? Here's my message. It is not, oh, you're crazy, or your mood isn't regulated, no problem, mine too, you're not alone. And my message is not, oh, you're crazy, no problem, I'm a psychologist, we have solutions for that. My message is, you're not crazy. There's nothing wrong with you. You're human. As human beings, we have different moods. We don't have one note. We are a full-on musical score. And so instead of like thinking like, oh shit, what's wrong? Why don't you think like, wow, it's so right. Like, awesome. Like, I have more than one note. Like, I feel all these different things, and like lean into the feeling. Like, don't run away from it. Like, feelings are okay. Like, it's okay to have feelings. It's okay to have bad days.